teamed up with one of our trained writing coaches who listened to Sarah's book idea, asked the right questions, and guided Sarah every step of the way. In 90 minutes, they had written the outline for Sarah's entire book. Within weeks, using the speak writing method, Sarah became a published author, both online and in print. Whether it's a textbook, an autobiography, a novel, or a children's book, speakyourownbook.com can help.
Yeah.
Visit our website today to download our free 50-question guide and schedule your free consultation. With Speak Writing, anyone can publish a book. Speak your own book today. You speak, we write.
Hello, my name is Krys Copeland. Thank you for listening to the Speak Your Own Book television show on Pagan World TV. And I am here today with one of the co-founders of Pagan World TV, as well as a co-founder of witchschool.com, Sir Reverend Ed Hubbard. Thank you for joining us today, Ed.
I'm so glad to be here. And so it's so good to see you.
It's good to see you as well. It's been a few, I think probably a month or two since we've last got to meet online like this. So. Yeah, it's nice to catch up with you and see how things are progressing, especially with Pagan World TV. So tell us a little bit about your recent venture into Pagan World TV and how that's going and how that's developing in the future.
So Pagan World TV is a Web 3.0 version. As everybody knows, well, maybe they don't. I've been involved with the web since '93 and visioning it in forums and things like that before that. And Pagan World TV is a Web 3.0. What do I mean by that? We're going to get to be a lot more transmitting, more communication capability. And one of the things that's happening is it's part of that new zero friction world that we're coming into, which offers a lot of opportunity. And people like us, Speak Your Own Book, for example, can now go directly to audiences on their television. And I want to, and we're one of the first ones to actually penetrate that barrier. And I want to continue getting into places where people can find us. That's Pagan World TV.
Absolutely. I know we can find you on pagan.world, but I also know that there's a Roku app to download as well, or a way to install that.
So Roku has channels, paid and free. And so, yeah, you just go Pagan World TV in your search for streams, and then it'll show up. And someday, if we get really good, they'll even automatically put us on their front page, but we're not there yet. But you look for Pagan World TV, and then you say that's one of your channels you could do. And then you can watch us. You can see this show and lots of other shows. We really are doing a good job out there. We've got like 8 shows that are unique to us that are, first broadcast. And you'll see them on YouTube and other spaces. We'll talk about that another time. But yeah, we get to that too. And Pagan Nightly News is coming, talk shows. We have a lot of capability, 168 hours a week of potentiality. And it's very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like that phrase that you use where it's, a zero friction world now when it comes to content creation and distribution. And we talked a little bit before the show began about your own hesitations with going into publishing your own book. Now, you've done quite a bit of work publishing other people's books so far. So what is your hesitation with going in and creating a book with your name on the cover?
So there are 3 things, and probably the first one is sounding reasonable enough on paper, or in this case, I always say on the pixels. I'm a pixel person. We're putting pixels to the screen, but getting enough words out there. I publish thousands of words. I'm a propagandist in that sense. People always call me that, but what I mean is I'm a marketer. All marketers are propagandists. Don't care what you say about it. That's just the way it is in the world. And I write lots of things. And even then, even when I put out that material, I have to send it to an editor. I am not a strong speller, and spell check doesn't serve me well all the time. They're drunk little dwarves sitting there saying, "Oh, that's not what I meant." Yeah, I really did mean duck. And then I get really hesitant, even sending small pieces. My Witch Wars Defense Manuals, which is a dystopian book. It's meant to be what it is. I just put it out without it. People today still criticize me over the editing, and that's still very painful for me. I have a real painful moment to editors because it reminds me constantly of the education they haven't got, and probably my illusion of how well authors really write the first time.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people who want to write their own books have that same fear or that same struggle of not being able to overcome some issue or some skill that they're lacking, and it may be in the way of grammar or spelling or word choice or vocabulary level. There's a lot of different things that can impact that, and I'll speak a little bit from my educator background on this
Mhm.
issue. Um, while there are, numerous technical rules to the English language as there is to every language, most of those rules are codified in such a way that it is fairly easy to correct errors in a manuscript or a document, using some of these modern technologies that we have. Now, you talked about how you struggled back in the 90s with publishing this, but back at that time, we didn't have the robust Microsoft editor that we do now. We didn't have Grammarly.com. We didn't have all of these tools that not only correct our grammar, but actually explain where we went wrong. You can click on little question marks with each correction they suggest and get a short article about why it is the way it is. And I have
Mhm.
always recommended Grammarly as a great tool to use for beginning authors who really struggle with the concept of grammar rules and spelling. So now that you are in that zero friction environment where you have super strong editing tools that can overcome any weaknesses or challenges that you might have with spelling and grammar. Um, what kind of books would you like to write?
Well, yesterday I was gifted in a Grammarly account for the first time.
Awesome.
So that's it. Well, the books that everybody wants from me, there's two books that people want. And actually, people have gotten mad at me office. So I've turned down writing book contracts. They didn't feel I could fulfill them. I'm an honest person. If I can, everything I try to do, I always want to succeed, and I want the people to succeed around me. So I've never taken on a book contract. I've got a common book of witchcraft, which is a Creative Commons books that we did put out. I do have the Your Voice, which was the Echelon book. I've got Witch Wars Defense Manual, which is my dystopian book. So I'm not an unpublished writer. So I can have that. But what people want from me is, of course, the course Cyber Ministry to be updated. I am the foremost leader of. I was one of the first people in the system that says, "Hey, cyber ministry is the way to go," and we built from there. And the other one's techno magic. I've been talking about it for years, and now that it's come to fruition, people want to know, what do I mean by that? What am I doing with that? What is it we mean by techno magic? So those are the first two. Um, then there's the 30 days to better magic, which I've been working on. It's actually the book I've been working on a little bit to be a book, but it's going to be given away. It's about how to 30 days to be better magic, part of our witch school system. So I've got a number of books. I mean, the truth is that I probably I should have published a long time ago. And that's why I'm very much, when I heard this idea, this idea came to emerge. And I was so glad to be there at the opening of this idea. I saw it serving not only, be selfishly, I thought at some point I'm going to get there where I'm going to be ready for this. So I really do believe in this idea of zero friction. And in this case, Speak Your Own Book is in exactly a company that's built on the zero friction reality that's coming into place.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of been our model from the beginning, is how do we streamline this process of writing to make it accessible for the person who's never even considered writing a book for themselves or for other people before in their lives, and how do we provide access to those tools? A lot of education, a lot of talks around education today are regarding equal access and equal opportunity,
Mhm.
and part of I think our mission as pagan educators and as pagan publishers and as pagan
Mhm.
content producers is to level that playing field for our pagan constituents, our pagan listeners and readers and followers online. And I'd kind of like to just go back a little bit to the ideas that you have about the next projects that you would like to have happen or that people have requested of you.
Mhm.
And I'll kind of go through a little bit of a brainstorming or an
Mhm.
idea forming session with you on that. When you think about all of those different ideas that you have in regard to future book ideas, the cyber ministry update, perhaps updating the manual. Was it which
Wars Defense Manual?
Yeah, the Witch Wars Defense Manual,
Yeah.
or the other projects that you have potentially in the works. What's the most impressing, pressing need, or the most interesting to you, or the one that makes you most passionate?
Well, I think at the ultimate level, I think that the book I need to write, because I'm heading to the problem and everything, is called Cyber Ministry. Because it was the cutting work of what we've done. And now I've got my case studies and I got my proofs, right, from where it was written originally, 2004, 2003, 2002. I had a lot written about it. That's probably my most compelling book. The book I really, really deep down want to write is not even there yet. I know that it's in the back of my mind. It's some vision I have of a future of a book, and it comes to me. So it'll be like that. My techno magic book is the one I think that I'm going to tackle next, because I think that's needed. And more importantly, I need people to get using the magical tools of the internet early. We need to embed now. So I think techno magic is the strongest one up front.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I kind of want to focus on that, because it seems like while there's a pressing need for the cyber ministry manual to be updated, you're really most excited right now about a techno magic type of update, along with the cyber ministry side of it as well. So utilizing technological capabilities to strengthen not only personal magical practice, but also the overall pagan ministry.
Right.
So when you think about those concepts, when you compare it to what you've already written, what else is missing from that? Obviously, we have a technological component, because there's another 20 years plus of technological advancement since that time. But what else is important for people to know about cyber ministry and techno magic?
First of all, probably my greatest weakness is what I think a lot of people is discipline. That's it. Okay, let's be honest. It's the discipline. I can do it, that sort of thing, but people don't know it. I love projects that are rolling. People have always asked me, what is your secret? Well, how do you keep moving? It says, well, I don't know how to back up. So I find people and fill in. So I'm an executive individual. So like right now I'm building Pagan World TV, but I'm building it with Mary Hawk, who's doing a great job as general manager. So that when I want to move on, I've got great teams behind Witch School, Pegasus Night Radio, all of it. So I leave behind great teams. But I lack discipline when it comes to my own projects. So I think what's holding me back most of writing any of this thing, first is my fear of editors. People have fear of clowns. I have fear of editors. And the second thing is a real lack of discipline. I mean, just, being accountable. And I think that's one thing I think that I'm not accountable to people. And so I don't do things. And if I don't, it doesn't matter, because my other projects move forward. So I can always hide the fact that I'm not disciplined in like writing, disciplined in some of the content production I should be.
Yeah, as a writer, and personally, I struggle with ADHD. So as a writer, that can be challenging to overcome, to meet deadlines for not only book projects, but also our week-to-week search engine optimization website content that we create for various businesses in the Netherlands as well as in America. When we're talking about with our team about how to meet deadlines and how to make sure you stay accountable, that really is our key word right there, is accountability. And we've actually set up a of course, free Facebook group for anyone who wants to join, any writer or aspiring writer to join. And they can post their schedule for their timeline for how they want to do their book and when they want to reach certain goals. And our membership, and which includes a lot of the editors and coaches that we have on staff, will encourage them and be their cheerleaders and their coaches and their guides throughout this process, so that there can be someone to be accountable to, who also is cheering you on at the same time. And I think that's really important for authors to have, is someone in their corner really encouraging them. Hey, did you meet your writing goal today? Or did you schedule that speak writing session? Or did you edit that first chapter? And that really helps to have some accountability. Now, you don't have to join, if you're listening out there, you don't have to join our Speak Your Own Book Facebook group. There are thousands upon thousands of writing groups out there, both online and offline, but having accountability to other writers who are struggling with the same thing you do has been very helpful for me and for other members of the speak writing community. Have you considered that? As I know you're actually a member of our online
Sure.
group. Yeah.
And I'm going to get started at this. I'm now working with it. I'm working around with coaches. Believe it or not, I'm at the point where I need coaches, and people are like, "What?" So I don't know when this will air, but on November 11th will be my 30th year as an elder of my tradition. And
Congratulations.
so,
That's a
well,
big step, big commit, big
yeah,
achievement.
it is actually. It's interesting to have gone from where we were. And one of the processes was always publishing books. Now, Lord Don Lewis of the Correllian tradition had already been published, and we struggled with that. I mean, that story is a story of struggle. First degree, second degree, third degree, fourth, and not being picked up by publishers. We self-published for years. And that's one of the reasons why Wishful grew, is that we self-published and we sent out CDs. Due to a legal dispute within the tradition, which I won't get into, I ended up selling the rights to publish the books to Llewellyn. And at the time, it was the right thing to do. Now we're restracting them, but that stopped Don from doing any more books because it just wasn't worth it. And then COVID came along, and our good friend, Krys Copeland says, "Hey, can I do anything to help you guys?" And for a published author, this was like, "What do you mean?" And so I kind of explained to him the idea of zero friction and zero publishing and all of that. And we all got together, and because of it, already 2 books are out. Next year we'll bring out the next one, because only because we're doing it. Lord Don was able to take his vlogs, which he has tons of content. He spent hundreds of hours on, and have them converted into books of questions, which are now available today. And so he didn't even have to write the book. All he had to do is go back and put his own tinges to his own words, which were transcribed by Speak Your Own Book. And that's books out there. And that was something from a published author, from somebody who was overwhelmed with the amount of content they're producing, because they moved into the social content world. And so I'm looking at that. And then the next Speak Your Own Book helped Lady Stephanie finish up her books, because she's been writing several books, and she's got a whole series of books, Discovering Tarot. Oh, and really a good one on world walkers. It just came out that you worked extensively with her on that. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Yeah, that was an amazing book, and it's out into it. Then let's take it to the last step: zero publishing. One of the biggest things in the 90s and the 2000s that this solves for us is the idea that either you had to, if you self-publish, you had to buy thousands of books from India. And we did. I worked with Echelon Public. We've done it. I also have books sitting that are becoming vintage in one of my storage lockers. Or you had to go through a publisher, and there were gatekeepers. So to make this type of investment in a book was a big risk. Today, if you do this, you will be published, because there's no one standing between you and your audience. And that's what I mean by zero friction. You can become your own publisher. You can join Correllian Publishing, which now has a lot of books. We've taken back our books from that. We've got all our several books from Speak Your Own Book. So we got a lot of books we're self-publishing, and we're only publishing what we need, and we didn't need a lot of capital. So we could make, and we are making the investment into buying. We ourselves, before open, is looking to buy more books from our members, and we're able to give our members an opportunity to be published. It's been an amazing opportunity.
Yeah, that has been really exciting, moving from Reverend Don's books first, and then on to Lady Stephanie's books, and then continuing even to working on books with that are still one is still in progress with Lori Blackman, and another one that is completed with Reverend Raven with Greenfield. And those are all available through Correllian Publishing or Amazon.com. You'll probably find links on our website as well, speakyourownbook.com, under our collaborations, and then under our bookstore as well. So if anyone listening wants to check out those books, please feel free to do that. It supports the writers, it supports all of the content creators, and it also supports our team here at Speak Your Own Book, including a lot of our team mostly is minority people of color and LGBTQ community, and from emerging economies. So we're fighting that fight as well. We have a lot of activists in our organization. And I think that that's a really good point that you made about speaking of equality. through activism. You're talking about removing those obstacles to publishing, and it reminds me very much of a cartoon that describes the difference between equity and equality, and then
Hmm.
equal access, which means removing all barriers to the playing field, so that everyone gets a chance to join in and interact as both player and spectator as they
Hmm.
wish. And I love that concept, that idea that we are helping to create equality, to maybe put on a platform voices that may not otherwise get heard, pagan voices especially.
Hmm.
Um, what do you see for that going into the future, for pagans in general, and for pagan world?
So I see two things. I see two, and they're two distinctly different things that are about to happen. Right now, I came to the realization over the last year. People don't may or who don't know me. My name is Ed Hubbard. I'm also going to Ed the Pagan, and I've gone back and forth across the United States now several times in the last year. I've been on the road more than I've been at home, and I've been searching for something. I've been really trying to understand communities at local levels. I've been to major cities. I've been to minor cities. I've been everywhere. And one of the things I've learned is that our information system, once again, like in the 90s, has outstripped our teachers. And so it means there's a lot of people out there who are becoming leaders, not rooted in the communities that they work. Just like in the 90s, I was grafted onto the older community, but I came from a different point of leadership. Now I'm established, right? I'm the institution. I'm the old guy, and I think there's a lot of younger people, and I think we have some of our tradition, but also some who have never touched the community, even inside the internet, that would go there. So our information has outstripped our teachers. So there's a desperate need to get back to if people want organization and rights, that comes from attention, that comes from organization. If it's just enough to push back and say no. So we're in that mess of having thousands of voices. They're not connected because simply because we've been so successful at information producing and not teaching structures. That's where Wit School came out of. And I think that environment is now returned to us, except now it's 4 million to 40 million, depending who you ask. And that's the United States alone, not much Europe. The second thing I see right now is that pagans are in real trouble in the United States, Europe, and everybody else to what we will call censorship. We're also, most people don't know it, we're not allowed to sell a lot of our stuff on eBay, Etsy, Stripe has taken down people. We already have a structure of oppression. We also have a structure of financial oppression out there. And when I talk about zero manufacturing, it's about accessing these tools to being able to publish our books directly. Right now, we're in a place where they're censoring books. They're censoring books. Well, there's a lot of libraries who won't pick up our books. So our job to get into the world is to freedom of information and get our people out there into information systems and fight it when they hit. But that's hard to do as an individual. So Pagan World TV and Pagan World Projects Underneath is really all about lead generation, networking, and connection to begin to prepare against any inevitability where we might be excluded from markets. And I don't know where it's going to. I'm talking to all sorts of people. TV is just the first project. We're going to get back to radio. I think Speak Your Own Book is very much a part of that new world. So you have Zero Friction. I think Carling Publishing and other publishers, Across Crow Books in Chicago is another example of zero manufacture. If you can produce a book, you can get it published. That's the real message. And if you can do that, and you can do it in a lot of different ways. I'm looking at my old podcasts. I mean, I'm really looking at some of my old on Techno Magic as being drawn into it because I can take those things. But then that's when the moment happens for me. And I think this is where I think Speak Your Book is. I've gotten overwhelmed. I've kind of started this thing, and I always have an easier project to do that's more important at the moment. It's easier, it's more important, so I get overwhelmed and I get out that. I think that's hard for people. I think that can't say it won't be published anymore. We've taken away every excuse on the back end. Now I have no more excuses.
Absolutely. And that goes back to that what you were talking about with the lack of teaching structure
Hmm.
in information and accessing information and in producing information. There is people talk about creativity like it's this airy concept that's not quite solid and is a bit ethereal. And that's not really true. Creativity is a concrete, literal process that is step by step. It starts with brainstorming and it ends with publishing and producing. And that we've actually written out those steps and codified those steps for anyone to follow in the Speak Your Own Book textbook, as well as the Speak Your Own Book Witch School course, which we did in partnership with Witch School and the Correllian tradition. And those kinds of tools are what is going to help the pagans of today and tomorrow remain successful, remain independent, or get independence, maybe even achieve lifting themselves out of poverty. And I do like the concept that you're creating with this internalized economy within the pagan culture and the pagan community. When you think about what paganism looks like in a post-COVID world, but even further along in a post-climate change world, when we're, our climate is rapidly changing. We're experiencing parts of the world that have famine and have water shortages, all of these things that we're struggling with. And you also live in Florida, so you understand that quite literally, because you just went through recently surviving the hurricanes there. How do we prepare our pagan community? Were you not in Jacksonville during that time?
Nope.
Okay. I don't know why. Maybe it was.
I reside in Jacksonville.
You resided, yeah.
But I've mostly been on the road.
Okay.
So I've stayed here 5 months out of the last year, 7 months on the road. And I'm originally from Chicago, where we're dealing with, where I was a part of. People forget that before this, I was part of. Had a worm business for years.
Mm-hmm.
Learned how to do industrial worm farm. That's another book that people have been begging me to read.
Yeah, that ties into sustainability, which is a huge part of pagan culture.
And I broke a barrier. I grew winter worms, which was something that. So yeah, so you get all these life experiences that you have, and then people say, "Well, how'd you do it?" And I've been that. But yeah, we're looking at. I spent a lot of time thinking about 300 years, 7 generations, what we're going to look like. Yeah, we're right. Right now is the time we should be really investing, and I think books are a good factor. I think we need to store knowledge, data too, but also I think seeds and all of that. We're about to see something. We're about to see something as dramatic as our ancestors saw with the Ice Age when it came in.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
I think we already are. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're deep into it. We're deep into stage 2 of probably stage 5, and we're about to hit stage 3 faster than we thought.
And this isn't. Sorry. And this isn't anything new in the pagan community. This is something that pagans have been activists for in preventing climate change and preventing the worst of it since the 60s and 70s, when these activist movements started, and probably even before then with conservation of forests and the establishment of the National Park Service. So how do modern pagans start preparing for what they're experiencing in the future, and how did they do that through the economic filter, through developing a social network that helps them survive long term?
Mm-hmm.
How do we access those things and obtain those things as a community?
So I have the short-term answer: publish, print, content creation, get into the mainstream communication. Don't let these things go unanswered. Show your point of view. Argue it. Doesn't matter where it is. Publish, print, argue. First step: stand for your rights. Simply use your voice and don't let them shut you down. Don't let them get that capability. 2, look at ways that you can make money close to home. Re-enchantment, relocalization. What can you share with your neighbors? What can you? Honey is my long-term answer. Honey is a generational question. We can get a jump on the next generation of wine. People pay a lot of money for old wine. Honey has one property above all others that makes it the most unique food, and it makes it storable even more than wine, is it doesn't rot. We can eat honey 3,000 years old.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
As we lose our flowers, as we see extinction of plants, as we see these changes in the environment, honey is also a barometer of the environment of its time. So not only can you store honey for the purposes of science and for your own purposes in the future, it will become highly collectible. We should be putting honey into decanters with, like wine, with the name of it, the year it was grown, where it was grown, because honey, like wine, suffers from the same thing. producers, which is yeast or bee, flour, where is it getting its honey, or where's the grape, same thing, and the soil it comes out of, plus the weather conditions, all affect honey, and they all taste very different. People will pay in the future. The highest levels of people will pay a fortune. Pre-COVID, go out and get honeys now. $2.19, honey. Wow, this is from $2.19. This is $2.39. Well, that's a 20-year-old honey, like a 20-year-old bottle of scotch. That's generational storative wealth. Seeds are short-term now because we can still get them, but as they go extinct, short-term to long-term. Seed saving. Land purchases in communities and groups. You have to take control of food. You have to take control of water, find local water. And I'm not saying doing this off the grid or on the grid. I'm saying always. Energy, of course, is going to be the necessity, and the education, the most distinct one that gets back to Speak Your Own book, where we are educating our own, teaching them what we want the future to look like.
Absolutely.
That's our moment challenge. What do we want our future to look like? And begin educating people towards it. Everything else I talked about actions. This is the only item I'm telling you that'll make a significant difference. And that's why I'm so excited, because Speak Your Own book's already brought a children's book and tarot cards, that sort of thing. So you've already brought those forward. So that's what's really important. So if you want to know at the end what you need, you do test honey, seeds, soil, all of that, all those climate change environments. But if you don't invest in the education of the next generation, we're going to lose. We're going to be wiped out.
Yeah. And we absolutely, we talk about these things as pagans, but then we also put our money where our mouth is. Speak Your Own book heavily invests into a cooperative called Rhiannon Farms, which will hopefully one day become Rhiannon Sanctuary, the plan is for it to be a sanctuary city for people to ride out climate change by being a member of a communal group, like you were talking about, purchasing land communally and not necessarily as an individual. I think there's a lot of benefits to maintaining a communal hold on land that surpasses an individual. Make it a group purchase, because then that group survives long after that generation with that person who initiated the purchase is gone. The group can still continue on and can still preserve culture and preserve knowledge and teach the next generation.
I agree. And creating the books right now for that library so that other people can migrate. It doesn't have to be a book on paganism or Wicca to be valuable to a community. So I think if pharmaceutical companies disappeared tomorrow, let's say aliens came down and ate the pharmaceutical factories, we would become the number one healers in the world, because we have so much information already, and we're constantly honing on herbalism.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we need to continue to hone that in case of individuals knowing what plants to preserve and things like that. We're really about to become stewards of the planet in a way that hasn't is, and it means we're in the Anthropocene age. People get mad at me. We're not going back. So we need to take more human actions to begin preserving what we see as our mother. But it isn't just that. I mean, I love ABC books. I kept my grandson Calvin's out there, so I'd love to see books for him. There are more out there than there have ever been. We have so many children in our tradition right now. So yeah, we've talked about that. And so you mentioned I've encouraged a lot of people to write books, and they have. Through the witch school system already, and now we're going to speed that up. We're bringing that to a little bit more scale. We've published a lot of people. I mean, I've helped a lot of people get published. So the hypocrisy of my vulnerabilities is kind of showing at me. But I do think that I think everybody should write a book. And then we go, well, there isn't that many readers. Well, the truth is, the history of books, if you think you're going to write a book and be a bestseller right away, it's not. I'm going to turn you down and say, that's not the reason to write the book. It's because you have something to say. Could you become a bestseller? Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
We sell thousands of books, and it's hard. But you've got something to say. I know everybody does. I tell people this. You've got something to say. You've got something unique. Say it. And I'm now glad that this is here for a bunch of reasons. I'm telling people, my friends, Greg Bornstein, who does the show, said you should do some of your best interviews as a book form. People will love it. And he's contemplated. I mean, so this isn't just about paganism. This is a chance for a pagan company to begin building our own first, But it doesn't stop there. I want to take this to trade shows. I love this idea. We, help everybody write their books, not just that.
Absolutely.
But we have to have a focus marketing. Krys Copeland, I'm really grateful that you chose our community to be the first of the targets.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that was mostly because the Corellian tradition came to us first with Don in particular with this, he had all these vlogs that he wanted to turn into a book. And that was the initial start of it. So I feel like we were also chosen by the pagan community and welcomed into the pagan community as a co-collaborator in the creation. And Reverend Don talks about the idea of the age of Aquarius and the dawning of this new age that we are currently experiencing. He predicted years and years before the age of Aquarius came to pass that this would be a time of great upheaval, and that Corellians, pagans and Corellians in particular, would be ushering in this new age of thinking, this new way of thinking, this, and you hit right on it with the concept of Mother Earth being a living, breathing entity. I just recently wrote an article for Speak Your Own Book about human rights, but also about it mentions in the article that we believe in the basic human rights that every person deserves, but also that Bolivia has recognized 10 Mother Earth rights that Earth herself retains as an entity. And I think that's really important for pagans to embrace as well. I encourage anyone listening to go and look up the 10 rights that Bolivia has given Earth. And I think you'll find that it very much correlates with pagan thinking and thinking that has been around since the beginning of pagan times, this idea that we are stewards of Earth. Yeah. And go ahead.
Here.
I was actually going to ask, what are some ways that pagans can start working on writing these books? Like you said, there's this message that they have to give to the world. What's the first steps that they can take to do that?
So if they're like me and overwhelmed, right, join the Facebook group, right? But before anything, create the intention. Give yourself no room to back away. Tell the universe right now, sit down right now. I intend to write my book. I want to write my book about, and I am committed to doing it. Right now, just do that. That's the first thing you have to do. You have to accept that you're going to do it, because once you do it, the rest with zero friction is possible. 2, write down a few ideas that you've got. Start writing down as many ideas as you've got about it. Don't worry about if they're good, bad, incoherent, or things like that. Share them maybe in the Facebook groups, that sort of thing. Find ways to communicate. Speak your own book, and getting you're offering a free consultation, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So you can then you get down and consult and see what the real work is, and then just start scheduling it. I mean, that's what I'm going to do. You're going to see. I'm hoping by this time next year to have my technomancy book out. If I don't, then everybody else is going to publish before me. That'll be just so embarrassing.
Yeah. So I feel like you just did the same thing that you told everyone listening to do, which was you set your intention that 1 year from now, that book will be published. So today's date is we're recording this on Election Day in America, the 8th of November. So this time next year, Election Day of next year, your book will be published. That's your commitment to the universe.
31st anniversary of my eldership. Yes.
Perfect. I love that.
And so that's what we have to do. I mean, I'm getting past, and you're proud of me, everybody's proud of me. So to walk a walk. And if I can't walk my own walk on this, then, what am I doing talking to you about it and getting you to do it? And since I've gotten so many people to write books and write for my compilation books and things of that nature, it's time. And, then get a consultation. That'd be a great way to do so. In a couple of days, we'll be announcing the course is going to be active in the next couple of days at Witch School. Getting a new lifetime membership. We brought those back so you can finish your book, you can get your 3rd degree, a bunch of stuff. That's another way of doing it. And there's lots of other information. Come on to Pagan World and watch this show every week or every couple of weeks. But once you get there, write down a few ideas, make your intention, write down a few ideas, join maybe the group, and then look at and get consultation and find out what you need to really do.
Yeah. And those are exactly the same steps that we start outlining at the very beginning of the Speak Your Own Book textbook. You're listing the exact same steps, especially with the start of the idea of commitment to that manifestation of the concept. And every single chapter in the textbook contains a guided meditation for people to set in the astral plane what they want to come about on the physical plane. And then we walk them through the steps in the physical plane to achieve what they already started in the astral plane through the meditation. And I do think that's really important, whether you're really into meditation work or not. I encourage everyone to try it. I think it's a super powerful tool. It has definitely helped me to be able to focus, to overcome a lot of anxiety even and things like this. So meditation is such a huge tool for setting intent, for setting goals, and then visualizing them before you actually carry them out in the real world. So when you think about what kinds of concepts that maybe you're interested in people coming to you, to the Corellian Publishing portion of our, I guess, conglomerate that we're working on creating here. Yeah,
I think it's a cooperative circle.
Yeah, that's a great word for a cooperative. Yeah.
Cooperative. We're building it. So we're not building an economy. We're building an ecosystem.
Yeah,
there's a difference. We're building an economic ecosystem. And what do I mean? Closed loop. So we want our students to, we have a lot of second degree. If you're a second degree, a lot of our second degree projects have become books. John Anastasia's spirit books. We have Tarot 101s became one of the better, is out by Llewellyn. So Witch School is a great place when people are forming their thoughts. So I think people who are in the Witch School system, which are thousands, who are coming to their second and third degree and have this material that they spent so much time and effort to show their theology. That's a great beginning of a book. I think we need to go back to the pamphlet area a little bit. I think we need to bring out smaller books. People are reading smaller PDFs, smaller books. People don't remember in the 70s and the 80s, we didn't, because publishing was so hard. The way they got around it was they went to their Xerox company. We did it. And we published magazines or published the small chapbooks. Just because it was old, because for different reasons, doesn't mean it's not good now. Like we're talking about for the Parliament to have a treatise on the matron, because we've kind of converted some of our thinking. So we need a way to supplement our third degree teachings. So there's that. I mean, there's so much out there, and if you want a creative fiction book, we're open to everything, because we don't have to worry about the one thing. We only have to worry about marketing and writing. We no longer have to worry right now about the publishing and the tremendous capital costs. Right? We publish books. It usually costs you between $6,000 and $10,000 for every book decision, and that costs gatekeeping. We don't have that decision. All we have is, can we support this book? Is our audience interested into it? And how big are your expectations? If your expectations are so high, then you better work for it. If you just think if you're going to want to be passive and just have a book out there, we're okay. I would recommend going to a Llewellyn or a Weiser book and trying it, and they're always buying now, right? So what you should always look for, not just with us, but anyone, is how much work are you willing to do go into the marketing? You want to know someone who's doing really well with marketing? He's got top selling books. Byron Ballard. Don't listen to what she says, but though you should watch what she does. So this isn't just an end all. I mean, that when you make that decision with a publisher, but when you make a decision with a publisher, you're helping and reinforce the idea of the great family. You're reinforcing the idea of a world which we don't believe in the apocalypse. We just believe in surviving. So that's kind of one of those things. So you can come to us and we will help you. We've got editing. We've got great partners such as Speak Your Own Books. We also have a lot of other people out there. We have a huge volunteer service who would be happy to read books after they're done. We don't have, that's where I think they're learning how to do this. So we're in an information producing an ecosystem, and we'll help, we'll help bring out Pagan World TV. We're having Pagan book shows. The future is very bright. We'll have Pagan radio shows, which we'll talk about books. As far as it goes, if you get into this process right now with Speak Your Own Book, even with just your own Speak Your Own Book, you'll have access to all these other media systems. Plus, Speak Your Own Book has their own bureau to get you onto their own book. They got into places that I haven't gotten into yet. So that sort of thing. So don't worry about any of that. That's the hard thing. Corellian Publishing, we will do it. You can do it yourself. You can do it to others. Know that there's publishing out there and marketing out there. So all you have to do is make the intent and write the book. Just
Absolutely.
Just write
And
it.
and you're talking about the marketing being like one of the only concerns after, because we've outlined how to do everything else. There's also within the textbook and within the course two different chapters, both for pre-sales and for post publication sales. For ways to set up your social media platforms or social media profiles for you as an author. And you talked about, looking at people like Byron Ballard as an example of an excellent publisher, or a self-publisher as well. And that's something that we encourage people to do. Find the greats. Like if you're studying boxing, you're going to watch Muhammad Ali fight. You're not going to watch like the local kids fighting the high school. You're going to see professionals fight. And it's the same thing with anything that you're doing. If you know that there are good pagan authors out there that you admire, that you read their books, see how they're doing their social media, see how they're doing their online advertising, see how they're gaining new readers through these online platforms. And that is a great method to follow. It's already been done before. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. When you think about different things that pagan authors can do to self market their books, what comes to mind first?
Podcasting.
Yeah.
Nothing's more powerful right now than podcasting. And we podcast. We've run Pagan Night Radio. We're going to start Pagan World News. Podcasting right now today. Second thing, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is giving tremendous organic reach. How does it apply to business? If you're looking for cheap organic reach, LinkedIn is the comeback king of the social media services. They're not in scandal. They're not in anything. They're doing their job. Publishing an article there can get you lots and lots of views.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then TikTok, Reels, Shorts. Today from my book, XYZ, I'm bringing you this thought, and you bring it into a minute, and then you run it on Shorts, Reels, all of TikTok,
Instagram, yeah, all of it.
All these short things, because that's where everybody's consuming. I just listened to a friend who says, I was watching Reels, I wanted to do something else, and I got stuck in it for 4 hours. So you have to be, so those are like the very first thing. The long lasting one, if you really want to invest, and I'm going to be doing this more, is build memes. Build memes with your name on them that are evergreen. That's it. And put them in the environment. And when people take them from you and post them all over the world, make sure your name's on it. Don't be upset.
And your website. Yeah.
And your website. And that's a longer term, because it won't gain you instant. You might have a little burst or two. But over a long time, if you build things that say about sabbats, or about your book, or about a spell in your book, or a candle in your book, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be, today's a great day. Those things will last a long time. We have one that is about 8 years old. It's over 3 million. You've seen it. Is your child being lured into witchcraft? That's ours. And we didn't put our name on it. I'm so forgot. So we know it has at least 30 million views over the years because of it. So that's a really long-term idea. But immediately, podcast, LinkedIn, short films, TikTok, Reels, Instagram, all of that, YouTube.
Yeah,
that's it. That's what I would do first.
Yeah, and I love the suggestions that you're listing, because they're very in line with some of the things that we suggest as part of our pre-sales and post-sales sales and marketing techniques. And you're absolutely right. We do the same thing with Speak Your Own Book. We'll publish like inspirational quotes, or motivation for writers, and just little tidbits and tips and things that help. And the meme creation ideas is genius, because you can post those to Reddit, and you have one go viral or a couple go viral, and suddenly your name is all over the internet. Not only your name, but also your face. If you can include your logo or your face or something like that in the meme, that makes you memorable. People are always going to remember, their favorite girl from that one meme or guy from that one meme. So do that. That's actually a really great idea. I think Lori Blackman even, she had mentioned when we were working through a session with her book, that cat memes did really well in the pagan community. So pagans love cats, and that's just kind of
One of my big,
our brand. Yeah.
one of my biggest pages that I run, Witch Cats.
Yeah.
Mhm. And the idea of these memes too, and these types of ideas, is that you can eventually, another time we'll talk about later once we get some of this, zero publishing and how you can expand your brand from there. I mean, you can make coffee cups. There's all sorts of things. But realize by making a book, getting your ideas out there, and you begin to change the way your life will live.
Yeah,
That's period.
absolutely. And you talk about merchandising. Like I'll even just show you like an example of this. My favorite YouTuber is Lexi, who is a meme voiceover person for MK, and she designed this logo, or pulled it and put it together with her saying underneath it, and she sells these for 40 euros a
Mhm.
set. And I know that money, instead of it going to some corporation, is
Mhm.
actually going to help her pay her bills. And that you were talking about that closed loop ecosystem. That's what platforms like YouTube and LinkedIn and your own website allow for us to do,
Mhm.
is to create that environment for an economy to thrive.
I think so. And that's what people do. I mean, so get your project together. Come and talk to Chris and her team. I think
Yeah.
you'll be impressed what even the free consultation will tell you about yourself. Even if
Yeah.
you don't proceed forward after that, at least you'll have a real answer. And I believe in lifetimes, as you know. I believe in lifetime projects. So even if you don't get it done today, it's just as important. This will be important 5 years from now. If you're listening to this 5 years from now, the year 2027, I think it's going to be equally as important. I think everything we talked about today will be still relevant. The names will change a little bit. We might not be talking about TikTok, but we will be talking about something very similar.
Absolutely.
And the need to create is the only thing in the future. If you're worried about losing your job to a computer, it means you're not creative enough.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing. We have to augment our thinking about the standard factory job. That's not going to exist for us in a few years. So you're absolutely right. We have to become creators.
And so that's what it is. I think you've done a great job. Thank you for
Thank
having me.
you.
This has been so
Yeah, thank you
great.
so much. I've had a lot of fun sitting here and talking with you, Ed. And just really quickly, Ed, could you tell people how to find you online and through all of the cooperatives and groups that you're working with right now?
So I'm Ed the Pagan everywhere. So if you go into a profile, I'm Ed the Pagan. I work very hard for that. And that's brand building. We'll talk another time. But paganworld.tv, paganworld.co is all the same name, is probably the biggest project we're at in this, for the shows. If you want to learn from witchcraft, witchschool.com, I always recommend. Find me. I'm Ed Hubbard, Ed A. Hubbard on Facebook. I'm also Ed the Pagan on Facebook. Just find me, track me down, Twitter, all of them. I'm in all of those services, so you can track me down, or edthepagan@gmail.com. That's my, so I make it try as easy as possible.
Absolutely. And I do the same thing with mine. It's always at Krys Copeland or at Speak Your Own Book. And I do want to just underline one last thing that you had mentioned. We do offer that free consultation. It is completely free. Everyone should take advantage of this, because you come out of that meeting 48 hours later, we turn over a document to you that is your guidebook, your plan of action for how to create your book, and how long it can take, and what services we can offer to help, but that are completely optional to you. And it is invaluable for everyone to get that. It takes 15 to 30 minutes to do the consultation, and you get a lot of information out of it. So definitely do that. And you can sign up for that at speakyourownbook.com, or message us on Facebook or on Instagram or TikTok. We're happy to help with that. But thank you so much for joining again, Ed. And I look forward to speaking with you again. I think I'm going to be following you a lot, and maybe like posting into our Speak Your Own Book Facebook group, asking for a few updates, the regular updates on your cyber ministry and techno wizard book, if that's okay.
Sure.
Wonderful. I'm looking forward to that. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening to the Speak Your Own Book television show. And this has been Krys Copeland on Pagan World TV.
Thank you for watching Speak Your Own Book, the TV show on Pagan World TV. hosted by head writing coach and co-founder Krys Copeland. Please join us next time on Speak Your Own Book.
Sarah had been trying to write a book for ages, but she was still on page 1. Until she discovered speakyourownbook.com. Sarah teamed up with one of our trained writing coaches who listened to Sarah's book idea, asked the right questions, and guided Sarah every step of the way. In 90 minutes, they had written the outline for Sarah's entire book. Within weeks, using the speak writing method, Sarah became a published author, both online and in print. Whether it's a textbook, an autobiography, a novel, or a children's book, speakyourownbook.com can help.
Yeah.
Visit our website today to download our free 50-question guide and schedule your free consultation. With Speak Writing, anyone can publish a book. Speak your own book today. You speak, we write.